All right, go ahead, people. Dr. Nicole McCarty here. Y'all, I'm back. Thank you. Hey, Dr. Nicole McCarty here, and welcome back. Thank you so much for watching. To my viewers, to my subscribers, no matter where you are, no matter what side of the globe you're on, I do appreciate you. I appreciate all of the comments, the feedback, the tips, the encouragement, the welcome. Oh my goodness, what you've shown my family and I is just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And we can't wait to get back. So I figured on my journey, on this expat journey, figured I wanted to share all the things I learned, right? So today, we are going to talk about something that if you plan on visiting South Africa, even if it's on vacation, like these are things you need to know. I'm just saying, these are things you need to know. And this first video, I think I'll probably do a series, or I might just do it all in one, who knows? But this first one is kind of answering a question that we've heard pretty often, and that is like, so is all of Africa like this? And so I'm going to tell you what Americans get wrong, right? Just go with me. Just stick with me. I'm going to take you somewhere. Okay. So after sharing our experiences in South Africa, and that kind of, it's not that singular question because there are a lot of questions that are on like repeat, right? Because everyone's curious. But the question of, is all of Africa aligned with our experiences when we travel to South Africa? And number one, I do not know firsthand because this was my first time on the continent. So let me just start there. From some of the research that I did, and if you're watching from different parts of Africa, please do share, do correct, do confirm, but I get the question, is all of Africa like this? The answer, no matter what, is no. And it's also yes, right? So here's where we have to shift our thinking. Because remember, Africa is not a country, even though a lot of people think that it's not a country. No, it's a continent. An entire continent. Africa is a continent with over 50 countries, thousands of cultures, and different ways of living, different ways of communicating, different ways of connecting. So I think that's the first thing that we have to understand. But what we experienced in South Africa, like this emphasis on greeting and respect and community, it's not unique to just one place, you see. Right? And so there is a common thread that I think you'll find in many African cultures, and that is people matter first. People matter first. Like before the question, before the transaction, before the task, there is acknowledgement. And for us, that was powerful, because it made us slow down and actually see people. And so let me back up a little bit. So in South Africa, like this shows up through the philosophy of Ubuntu, right? I am because you are. I've done some shorts on that. Please go back and look at them if you've never heard of the term, or if you're unclear as to what it is, or if you think it's a tech company, they got it from somewhere. Okay. So yes, Ubuntu. Connection is not optional. It is foundational. Okay. In Nigeria, greetings are deeply tied to respect, right? Especially like across generations. So, you don't just say, hey, you greet intentionally. And in some cultures, even, younger people even bow or kneel to greet elders. In places like Ghana, greetings can be extended. You don't just ask like, how are you, and move on. You might ask about someone's family or their well-being, because that's what respect looks like. In Kenya, politeness and greeting before request is expected, like jumping straight into what you want. Nah, don't do that. That can be seen as dismissive. And so you see, it's a very common thread, and it sounds pretty consistent through a lot of the major countries on the continent. But here's where we have to be careful. This does not mean all of Africa is the same, right? Each country is different. Each culture is different. Each experience is different. But many do share relational foundation. They share that relational foundation that everything else is built on, where people come before the process. Now, are there breakdowns in places? Absolutely, there are. I think no matter where you are in the world, there are breakdowns. And I think there are people who try and make better decisions and try to choose people. And then you're going to also have people who don't. Ask me how I know. So I think on a global scale, culturally, from my high vantage point, culturally, people come before process in the most foundational way. Okay. And so this is also where it gets a little more interesting, though, you see, because this is not only just found in Africa. No. Like in many Caribbean cultures, greetings matter. You don't just walk into a space without saying good morning or good afternoon. In parts of Latin America, greetings are warm and relational and expected. There's conversation before business. In Asia, in many Asian countries, respect and greetings are deeply embedded, whether through bows or tone or formal acknowledgement. And so it's something that is not just on the continent of Africa. It's something that's woven through many of the places on the globe, right? Now, me being from the U.S., and here in the U.S., we tend to be efficient. Okay, yeah, anyway. What I mean is we move quickly. We get to the point. Yeah. I don't care about that. I'm gonna tell you what's funny. So my husband works in corporate America. And so we often have these conversations, and he was like, man, you can say, yeah, man, I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I had a stomach virus. You can say all that, and they'll be like, okay, so did you finish what I asked you to do? Or, okay, so what my question is, they don't even acknowledge it. And not everyone is like that, but there are some. There are many who are. And, you just kind of shake your head and you just feel like, okay, whatever. Thanks for caring. Okay. So, in the US, get to the point, but in many parts of the world, connection comes first. And honestly, this challenged my perspective of things, right? Because it made me ask the very vital and very uncomfortable question of how often do I move through life without really acknowledging the people around me, without really acknowledging the person in front of me, no matter who it is, no matter what they look like, no matter what socioeconomic status they fall into or status category they fall into. How often do I move through life without really acknowledging people? And being in South Africa, we did our research before going. So these were things that we were briefed on. So we went in knowing and breaking out of, and generally we're polite people. So we're not like the rude type to just be like, yo, just answer my question. No. Generally we greet, hey, how you doing? But there are moments in which if we're in a rush, we might speed past that. And so being in South Africa, it forced us to pause. And then it became, initially it was, okay, don't mess it up. Hello, how are you? Okay, right? But then as time went on, like we began to, like our heart began to see people and their response and their genuine desire to know how we were, genuine desire to know how we were doing. And when asked, how are you? Like they actually cared, right? They expected a response. And it was beautiful as we began to integrate into the culture and shift our focus or shift our habits to being more relational than transactional, And we were, like I said, we were doing a pretty decent job beforehand. That's just kind of like who we are. Like my husband, myself, and my mom, like that's who we are. But for it to be intentional and then become a part of you, a part of how you move, a part of how you live, that was beautiful. That was refreshing. I welcomed it, And so here's what I say to that. Because, I'm bringing it back to wellness. That's what I do. So what if wellness isn't just about slowing down for ourselves, but slowing down enough to see other people, to see them, not just with our eyes, but with our heart, to see them in a way to where if they need something, even if you can't give it, you can say a quick prayer that God sends it to them in some shape, form, or fashion, But to see them, because honestly, if we look at a lot of the disturbing things that are happening in the world, and I can say specifically here in the U.S., I think it's because we've lost the art of seeing people. And people don't come first like money does. And when that happens, I think you see people get desperate and you see them behave and react in ways that they normally would have, in ways that they never would have. So I think it's such a beautiful reality that I wish the U.S. would go back to. I think the U.S. of old was like that, right? That's how the American dream was born. Now, yeah, I'm gonna just let that ride. Okay, so, I was gonna say, oh yeah, I was also gonna say this. Sometimes as Americans, we just don't realize how transactional we've become, But travel has a way of exposing that because it exposes you to all these different things. And, not only does it expose us, but when you travel with your children, it exposes them. And so they begin to take on these positive and or negative, depending on, the environment, habits that will transcend to who they are as they become productive members of society. And I think that takes, that warrants a pause, that warrants us thinking more about things, right? So I want to ask you, have you ever experienced a culture where greetings matter? And not only do they matter, but they mattered more than you expected, more than what you were accustomed to. If so, drop it in the comments. If you're exploring travel or even moving abroad, or maybe you're already there and you're like, yes, amen, I second this motion that she said, or no, I don't like it. Either way, make sure you subscribe because we're having real conversations over here, y'all. Real conversations. You're going to get a little bit of everything, but it's going to bless you, okay? But it's going to bless you, okay? So because this journey is not just about where you go, it's about who you become, not only when you get there, but who you become as you journey there. I think it's good to have open eyes every once in a while. It's good to have someone tap on your shoulder and be like, hey, you want to go look in the mirror? Go ask yourself this question. Is that you? But anywho, so thank y'all for watching. Again, if you're enjoying, go ahead, like, subscribe. Hold on. Like, follow, share, whatever. Like, share, follow, subscribe, all the things. Okay. All of the things. Just go ahead and do all of them. And, yeah, I look forward to seeing you next time. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to have more conversations about things we learned in our travels to South Africa and traveling, period. Everything from, what we did for our scouting journey, everything to talking about the culture. I'm going to weave in wellness because that's just my jam. That's what I do. I love it. I love it there. I love it there. So, lots of things coming. So stick with us, and I can't wait to see you next time. All right. Love and blessings. Toodles.